All right, so it's been a while since I did some testing with the 6BR. This is a Savage Model 12, basically an F-class style stock gun, stock action. The barrel is aftermarket. It's a Bob Jury barrel out of Alberta, so that's the only modification to the gun. Basically, it's how you bought it. I've got the trigger as light as I can. I'm thinking it's about 6 ounces. My last bit of testing with this rifle, we were comparing 109 Bergers to 108 Bergers, and basically it was a wake-up call for me to see how much different those two bullets were in this gun. Because when I got into 6BR reloading, everyone was claiming 109s are the way to go, and just by chance somebody had some 108s and I tried it, and it was crazy different for that. The bullet is quite a bit different shaped than the 109, so even though the 1 grain difference isn't really that much, it's the shape of the bullet. So that's lead me to today's testing, just because I've stopped, you see what guys are using and then you go with what they're using, but it might not be the right thing for you. So today we have Berger 105s because they are quite popular. I've got to try them out because, what I'm learning is that the reloading process isn't just about powder depth, muzzle velocity. It's also about bullet selection, which is crazy to me, but why wouldn't it be? So today we've got the 105s, Bergers, and the 105 Lapua. I've always favored the Lapua because visually they just look like a better bullet. The Bergers work, there's no doubt about that, but the tips just look scary to me. The Lapuas are much more refined. The bullets are a completely different shape for 105s. Being both 105s, the Bergers are G7 ballistic coefficient of 0.275. The Lapuas are coefficient of 0.236. Let me give you a shot of the Lapuas up close and the Bergers. There is the Lapuas and there is the Bergers. The tips on the Bergers are much smaller. The Lapuas are much larger. I'm going to show a picture of the bullets side by side. The shape of the bullet is considerably different. The Bergers are longer and thinner, and the Lapuas are shorter and a little bit fatter. Oddly enough, on my loading die, to get these at the same depth, I didn't really have to change the die that much. So the ogive is basically the same. It might be 1,000ths taller with the Bergers as opposed to the Lapuas, but I barely had to touch the depth on my die to get the seating depth the same to the ogive. So that's interesting to know. Whereas the 109s and the 108 Bergers, the ogive was completely different, and there was quite a bit of adjustment I needed to do on the die to get it the same depth. The hole at the tip of the bullet is considerably different. It's larger in the Lapuas, but basically what it gets down to is I've got 29.5 grains of powder. I've got the 3 thou off the lance for both sets of bullets. Basically identical loads, identical brass. So let's see what each bullet gives us on the target at 100 yards. I'm going to keep it at 100. I wanted to do 200, but the wind may be too much of a variable. So if 100, I've got really low wind condition right now, I think it would be most consistent and fair between the 4 groups that we're going to shoot. Let's get to it. Oh, and I forgot to mention another point. The Lapuas in Canada, you can get a box of 100 of the 105s for $79, and the Bergers are $89. So if that matters to some people, they're $10 for 100 cheaper, the Lapuas. I don't know if that's because of the tariffs or what the reason is, but they are cheaper. And you can also buy Lapuas in a book of 1,000, and I think the Bergers are 500, and you get a bit of a discount. The last time I used this rifle was at 300. I've set it for 100. I do need to make a practice shot, also a barrel warmer, so we will do that now. I hope that this will be in the ballpark. Before we get going with, we'll do Lapua first, but this here is just a warmer up. See where I'm at? I'm just going to go for center mass of the target. I've adjusted it bore scope. I've bore sighted it, so I don't know if I'm even close. We'll do 5 of the Lapuas. I'm going to keep it in the center of the paper because I don't know if my windage is correct. I've got it set at 0, but we're just doing group size here, so this is just a point of aim that I've got in the center of the paper. Okay. We're off a little bit, but we're just going to keep the same aim point for this testing purposes. Once we're done these 5, I'll center it into a target for the next test, so we're not out in left field. Alright, that was pretty decent. So let's get ourselves a little bit better zeroed. Alright, that'll get us closer. Now I can aim in the center. We're going to do 5 Bergers now. Like I said, I haven't done any individual testing loads with each bullet. This is just basically 29.5 of N140. Same primers, same brass prep. So take it for what it's worth. Alright, 105 Bergers. Coming in. Alright, let's wait a few minutes and we'll go back to the Lapua now next. That was the Bergers. Get a little bit more centered for the next series of shots. Looks like the Lapuas have etched out the Bergers on that series. And like you say, with this front rest and this bag, my input is very limited. So shooter error is not really in the playbooks here. This is just bullets head to head. Alright, let's go. Five Lapuas. Got a bit of a breeze. Just wait a second. they look? Not bad. Half-inch group, I'm going to say. They've all, I think both Lapuas were about a half-inch group, maybe less. That first group maybe less. 0.3 MOA. The Berger's a little bit more. Not much. All right, last 5 Bergers. Oh, that's a hard bolt open. Decent. So like I said, take this test for what it's worth. Both loads were identical. Both seating depths were identical. Of course, once you choose a bullet, you've got to play with seating depths, powder charges, all that. But right out of the box, both are pretty impressive as far as group size goes. I think the Lapuas have the edge, but they might just like that depth, and they might like that powder charge better. I would personally buy more Lapua and do some playing with that. It's part of my research on what works and what doesn't in this gun. But there you go.